What is up, guys? Another day, another video. Today I'm going to be talking about how to get the desaturated, gritty, flat, matte black look on your photos. Alright, so we're going to try to keep this video short so that Brian can get it edited very quickly and easily and does not have pain and trauma in his life like all the other videos that I have him edit. Alright, so we have our photo right here in Lightroom already. Beautiful photo. Look at that. Queen Elizabeth kind of a pose right here going on with bones and a skull. So, you know, that's cool. This was taken at a tattoo shop, actually. First thing we're going to do, go to our exposure tools. I'm going to adjust that exposure a little bit down. Kind of a big thing with this look is obviously a little bit less light. However, we don't want to just pull the exposure down. A lot of beginning photographers just pull the exposure down like this and then call it like a moody look. However, if you just pull the exposure down, what you're actually doing is you're taking all of that light in the spectrum and you're just crunching it into the bottom of the waveform, into the bottom of that full spectrum of light that you can have in your image. And when you're crunching it down like that, you're losing a lot of the actual detail in the photo, and it just kind of looks flat and doesn't have any personality. When the gamma is really low like that, it just doesn't have quite that look. So we're going to show you guys how to get that look while still retaining the full dynamic of light. All right, so like I said, just a tiny bit right there. Next thing I would do is I would increase the contrast a tiny bit. This photo, the light's already pretty contrasty, so we're going to be real careful with that. Let's pull down the highlights a little bit. You can see on this side of the picture, we've got a little rim light coming in the frame. It looks cool. That light is a little hot, so we're going to pull that down a little bit, keep that nice and balanced. Around -12 looks pretty good to me for this photo. Take the whites. Whites is something I use to counteract the highlight work a lot. I don't know if this is necessarily like the scientifically correct way to keep the most detail in your image, but what I like to do is I like to pull down the highlights like I just did and then increase the whites a little bit to counteract that, and it kind of keeps the full brightness of the highlights without losing the detail in them. Blacks, obviously we can mess around with that till we get a good level. We want detail, but we don't want everything to look all gray like this. We want nice and kind of in the middle. So that's looking pretty good so far. We'll probably come back and adjust the lights and the contrast and all that stuff once we've done a couple of other adjustments, but for now we're just going to go down to the color tab. Now, obviously a big part of this look is kind of getting rid of the color and kind of keeping it all with those minimal gray tones. So we're going to go over here first of all and desaturate the image a little bit, like -20 or so. And then the vibrance, also going to pull out a little bit of that. There's a way that you can actually crank vibrance and reduce saturation, and it kind of looks cool. It kind of keeps that, kind of keeps the colors in there while still reducing the overall saturation. But I think we're going to go like neutral or slightly negative with the vibrance, keeping the saturation kind of in a medium area. All right, so we get that at a good level. Now let's go down to the color mixer. There's a couple of colors in this image that I don't want to be as strong, and that is number one, the yellow. See, there's a lot of yellow in these bones in the background. Kind of cool, but we don't really want that to be in there so much because it's adding more saturation that we don't really want. So let's pull that out just a bit. The luminance down a little bit. Looking pretty decent. And then now I'm going to go into the color mixer. I'm going to artificially pump in a little bit of blue into the shadows, just the tiniest bit, and that's going to counteract a lot of the warmer tones that we're getting. That's getting purple. Let's go blue. Yeah, just a little bit. I'm turning that to blue. There we go. Boom. All right, so that's going to counteract the warm tones a little bit. Come back up here to the exposure and adjust this again now that we've got everything dialed in a little better with the colors. All right, now I'm going to show you guys the before. This is what we started with, and this is how far we've come. Now it's time to get into the fun stuff. So we've got all our basic adjustments done, and this is kind of the overall look we're going for. I'm going to pull the highlights down a little bit again. And now it's time to add the things stylistically that really add that gritty, rough feel. So come down to texture. And we're going to actually turn the texture up a little bit. You can see what that's doing here. Texture can get out of hand really quickly because what it basically does is it looks like sharpening, kind of, sort of, in a little bit of a way. So if you use too much texture, it will get bad fast, so be careful with texture. Clarity. Crank that soldier boy like that, bro. As hard as it goes, man. If your slider doesn't go to 110, you need more clarity, brother. Just kidding. Just don't do that with your photos. Just get the clarity to a decent level. As I've stated before, I'm a normie and I like clarity. We'll go like 15% or so. Looking pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Looking nice and poppy. He's coming off the background. Looking so beautiful. Looks like he's straight out of Game of Bones. Okay, that was stupid. And now let's come down to the vignette. Again, vignette can get out of hand. Just gonna do a little bit to draw your eyes away from all these little edges and stuff, and a little bit more into what actually matters in the middle. Our beautiful boy. And then let's come down to grain. Now grain, we can crank that boy. Now you have to zoom in a little bit to see what the grain's doing. So no grain. Some grain, a lot of grain, too much grain. We'll keep it like right around here. That looks pretty good. Grain will add kind of like a textural element, kind of like a physical looking feel to the image. Obviously it's just adding artifacts that would be there from actual film grain, and I love it. I think it looks super dope. Maybe crank up a little more. Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Increase the size. I am kind of I like 16 mil grain, like that big blocky grain. I think it looks dope.
A lot of people are like, refined, like 35 millimeter grain. It's so smooth and buttery.
No, big chunks of 16 mil grain. So good.
You can pixelate that part of the image to make it look all grainy. Or just leave that part in and make fun of me, editor. All right, now we're gonna go down to our sharpening. Since we added so much grain and texture, I'm actually gonna reduce the sharpness away from the natural profile. Now you can see it's not actually going to the negatives with sharpening. It's like at 20, but each raw image has a picture profile that Lightroom applies to it, and the picture profile associated with this raw image was a 40% sharp. Okay, now noise reduction, we don't have a whole lot of noise in this image, so we're pretty good there. Detail, don't really mess around a whole lot with that. Let's come back up to our lighting controls again. Dial in the contrast right about where we think it looks decent. Now for the final part of the video, this is actually probably what you came to see. We're going to add in those kind of lifted, faded blacks. Now, how do we do that? We come over to the curves and we take our full RGB curve right here. We're gonna add a point here at the bottom, right before the lowest point. I like to pull it down a tiny bit. And then we take our very bottom node on this color curve. I'm gonna pull that up a little bit. Now you can see how faded that gets real quick, just like Brian at a party. We're gonna turn that fade down a little bit. Gonna get that right into like a decent. Now this can get out of hand real fast, so we'll keep that like right at a good level, like that. Yeah. And then we can adjust that a little bit with the blacks to keep it nice and balanced. Now this is a bit of an older fashioned look. This was very popular like around 2012. And so some people have a problem with people fading the blacks. I still think it's a cool look. I like it. And I think it kind of adds this kind of gritty film look to things. So yeah, basically there it is. Again, before, after. And that is how we get the grungy, kind of faded black, grainy film look on our photos. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it helpful, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Remember to hit that like button, that subscribe button.
Every single like helps people.
I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again in the next video. Brian, I'm changing your trend. We're doing the shoe.